All right, rock and roll. Welcome one, welcome all to the Scorched Earth Political Podcast. I am your host, John. And if you could see me, I've got the snappy little scarf today. And you know why I got the snappy little scarf today? Because we have royalty here. Yes, we do. We have liberal progressive Crystal once again being kind enough after her Christmas vacations, going to San Tropez, Greenwich, Hawaii, all those other places. She has been kind enough to stop her extravagant travel schedule and join the podcast. Always a welcome voice. How are you doing today, Crystal?
Oh, I'm even better now.
That is wonderful. Alcohol will do that. I'm not sure. You know, really, I do think if there was a higher rate of alcoholism in America, that this podcast would be more successful. Just saying, everybody get out there, rip open the tops of that Dom Perignon, the whiskey, the bourbon. Come on, let's go. John will be a much more popular cultural figure. All right, let's get to it. We got a lot to get to. It's been a couple weeks since we've had Crystal on the show. And the second segment today, we are going to do something different. Well, no, it's actually going to come at the end of the first, but we're going to do something different. We're going to live on the edge a little. Now, in the past week, I think probably the biggest story in the news was the tragic murder of Renee Nicole Good, 37, in Minnesota. She leaves this earth with a beautiful child, with a beautiful wife. And, you know, we saw in the immediate after effects of this tragic murder, and I'm not going to call it a killing. I'm sorry. It was a straight up murder. And, you know, we have all these MAGAs that have for years, and I'm going to say Megyn Kelly, Charlie Kirk. I would say rest in peace, but I wouldn't mean it. But they honestly were promoting to have public executions. And now I think we live in an administration where we are having public executions. They're just of innocent people on the streets, not people convicted of crimes. And Renee Good was one of those people. And we saw the tragic situation unfold on a street in suburban Minneapolis. And she was just an innocent woman trying to figure out how to extricate herself from a situation she was unfamiliar with. I'm going to ask Crystal, what are your takes as just a freedom fighter for America, but also as a lady, about what you saw Renee Good had to deal with?
She just seemed like a nice, like everyday kind woman who, if you probably, waited on her if you were her barista at Starbucks, she would have been kind to you and you would have enjoyed seeing her every day or something, that kind of person that makes the world like a better place. Just pleasant, right. Kind, a mom. And I guess she had actually 3 children. And it's just insane that there was no reason. And I saw in a comment on one of your videos, someone put that, that the one who shot her, he was dragged by another person in the past, as if like, that's okay. It's justifiable for doing what he did. Well, if he is so traumatized and was so scared, why was he in front of her car when police officers everyone knows it's just common sense. Like, you don't get behind or in front of someone's car. But he had no problem being in.
Well, let's deconstruct that. Let's deconstruct that for a second. You're absolutely correct. And your voice was missed. First of all, what police officer gets in front of a car and the first thing they do is start the cell phone with the left hand, and then with the right hand, they pull the gun. Right. And then after he claims she hit him, and there is a video where it does seem that her front bumper does make contact with him at a whopping, and I did say incorrectly on a couple of my videos, she was going a whopping 3 miles an hour. It was later figured out she was going a whole 1 mile an hour. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
obviously, then, as we've seen in the video that was leaked to right-wing media, because the Trump administration has to get out ahead of this S storm, that she said, "Hey, I don't got a problem with you, dude," and then
Mm-hmm.
he killed her,
Mm-hmm.
and then
And then he
and then
calls her
effing bitch, right?
right.
Now, here's the question I want to ask you that I have seen. I've seen a lot of podcasts on this.
Mm-hmm.
It literally took up the entire ecosystem. Here's what we're going to do that's different, besides the
Mm-hmm.
fact that we have such a brilliant and intellectual guest on the show today. I want to ask you.
Oh, where are they?
Yeah, I know. Look in the mirror, kid. Look in the mirror. I want to ask you something that I have not heard anywhere on the political environment. What
Mm-hmm.
is it to be a woman in America and you're in a vehicle and you feel threatened?
Yeah. It's not, it's scary. Absolutely. Um, yeah, every time I'm like, I always lock my car door. I would rather risk not being able to get out of my car in an emergency than someone able to get into my car. So
Right.
yeah, if
And
someone approaches your car, it's very scary. I had somebody I've had people actually knock on my windows before to ask me something or ask me for money or whatever. And every time I'm like, is this going to be the last thing I do? Rolling down my window for this person? I mean, that could happen to a man, of course, as well, but
no, but no, time out, time out. I want to hear
sorry.
your perspective. No, hold on. No, no, no. I understand you're trying to be cool, but I want to hear what a woman's perspective is, because every goddamn perspective I'm hearing is from a white male telling us how this female should have reacted. What I
Yeah.
am trying to get to is I want to hear you as a lady in
Hmm.
America alone in your car, take the dog out of it. What is it
Hmm.
like? And I'm that first ICE officer put his hand inside her car. What do you
Yeah.
go through? What do you
What the heck is that? Yeah, it's terrifying. I would be thinking, this guy is going to rip my car door open. He's going to rip me out of my car. He's probably going to throw me down on the gravel. And who knows, maybe beat the crap out of me. And I can't defend myself.
right? Now, we live in a society, and I think this is a very good thing, where women, because they are vulnerable physically, not mentally,
Hmm.
because they're smarter than guys, they are taught from a very early age to be very aware of your surroundings. And if you are threatened, to figure out a way where you can extricate yourself.
Yeah.
To
Yeah.
me,
Great
to
point.
me, this is what this lady, this brilliant, beautiful human being, has been taught. And I do not hear this in the podcast world. I do not
Hmm.
hear anybody talking about it from a female perspective. I just hear it. I hear the perspective of, oh, I'm an alpha male and this is how she should have reacted. Two words,
Hmm.
F you. And then when you get done with that, give yourself another F you.
Yeah, that's a
And
great point because it's fight or flight. And as women, we can't win the fight.
right, you're vulnerable
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
there's a physical advantage for men.
Yeah.
And
I
and
heard.
when you were growing up, weren't you taught basically to keep yourself safe, keep your head on a swivel? If you're in a situation that could become dangerous, figure out a way to get the hell out of there?
Yeah, you just know instinctively as a woman, just all the time. Like, I think maybe that's why we're a little more intuitive, or,
Mm-hmm.
we just have like that pay attention to our gut instinct. We just know upon meeting sometimes someone that something doesn't feel right.
Right.
And obviously, yeah.
And literally, when you're in that moment, and I'm not trying to make this a traumatic situation, but I look, I'm a guy. And I'm giving it from the guy's perspective. I try to have a 360, but I can't, right? I don't know the
Hmm.
journey that women go through. When you're in that moment, how paralyzing is it? Like, is it, if I don't act now, there could be dire consequences? That's really what I'm trying to get to here. And
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm enumerating it or eloquently saying it, but I don't think that perspective of what women have to go through in a situation where their safety is endangered. I don't care if he's got a badge. That's just
Yeah.
nonsense. It's two men approaching her vehicle and another one coming from the front. She feels like she's being surrounded. And
Yeah.
in a society where sexual assault is very prevalent, that is something that has to factor into a lady's thinking in terms of, let's forget all the other bullshit that's going on. Well, this is a criminal thing. This is, goddamn, her personal safety.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't
You're
that what it comes
absolutely
down
right.
to?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Mm-hmm. You're
Eh,
not thinking like logically, like,
right,
oh, I might get arrested for this. This might be against the law.
right.
You're like, I'm terrified. I have to get myself to safety.
Now, let me ask you another question. And I'm really going to try and dig deep because I want this. I don't care if fucking two people watch this thing. I want to really do something different here. When
Mm-hmm.
you when you as a woman see another woman be killed, be murdered, okay? And she was just trying to extricate herself from the situation. What does that do to you going forward? Does it even, yeah, I'm just gonna ask the question, what does that do to you as you look at society?
Oh, it makes you realize it could be you next.
Does it make you more tepid? Does it make you more apprehensive? Does it make you, and look, I am not trying to be a psychologist here. I'm trying to understand what the burden that women have to deal with each and every goddamn day.
It makes you, quite frankly, that when someone's really a psycho, there's really nothing you can do. You could be mean, you can be nice, but they're gonna do what they're gonna do.
No, okay, okay. No, no,
Going
no,
too
no,
far.
no. No, you're not going far enough. No, hold on. What I'm saying is when you see a situation like that evolving, like, let's say right now, let's just
I'm
take
like,
your example.
I gotta move to Japan finally. I've been saying it for years.
Oh, Akadoa. Yes. Oh yeah. Okay, no, but what I'm saying is
Excuse me.
let's take the example you made of
Mm-hmm.
someone knocks on your window. If you see him approaching, do you just take off? You don't even wait for that knock now?
Mm-hmm.
Or right?
Yeah.
I
You're
mean,
not gonna wait.
well, but what I'm saying is, does this increase the fear and the apprehension that women have to deal with in our society? Because I
Yeah.
honestly, nobody is talking about it from that perspective. We're all talking about the legal bullshit. We're all talking about, well, this is constitutional. I could give a rat's ass about that. I am talking about the impact on what young women are seeing, that three men surrounded a woman. They shot, they killed her, they murdered her, and there will be no repercussions. What does that do going forward in terms of a chilling effect for the next generations of young women?
It's terrible. Scary.
Okay,
And there's nothing, I mean, what can we do about it? It's not
I
even
understand that.
being,
I understand that. I do. But, we deal with a society that, because, and this is my personal opinion, that has become increasingly isolated because of algorithms. And I do see a lot of young males who basically create their own universe and they don't really have a social network, and everything is online and everything is that kind of social media. And there is, I would assume, probably the same thing for women. And I would assume, and I'm thinking outside the box here, is this going to further isolate young women in terms of, I just don't want to go out. I don't want to take the
yeah.
risk. I don't want to see what could be coming, because when we were growing up, Not that you're in my generation. You're
Excuse
way
me.
too young. But
Yeah, sure.
I will say this. When women got assaulted, when
Excuse
women
me.
got raped, the narrative was the same kind of bullshit that went on with Brett Kavanaugh. Well, she was in a bad situation. She had a couple drinks. Bullshit, and then double bullshit, because rape is still goddamn rape. And
Mm-hmm.
it was only over years that that actually became a real thing. Until then, the Harvey Weinsteins, the Jeffrey Epsteins, the Donald Trumps could rape and pillage and do whatever they want without any repercussions. Oh, fun fact, Donald Trump can still do that. But
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying is, what does this do as a culture when women think that they do actually have the ability to have their voice heard, to be empowered, and then they see the Epstein files being blocked? Then they see three
Yeah.
men surround this woman's vehicle, shoot her, kill her, and there's no repercussions.
Yep. Great point. Great point. Because that's how what MAGA wants to do. They want to make
Right.
it, they take us back hundreds of years ago.
Share a law. Sit, heel,
Yeah.
kneel. Women should be seen and not heard. They shouldn't have a voice. They shouldn't have a truth. That's really what they want.
Yeah.
And there's a couple exceptions, but for the most
Yeah.
part, I mean, think about it. We have a political party that has never nominated a woman for president. There's only two.
Right.
There's only two.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I granted the Democrats have only put it forward two, but I'll make the argument, and I'll do this till the day I die. They were very talented women. They were actually more talented than the orange-haired freak that they were running against. But misogyny is misogyny. You don't overcome it in one day.
Yeah, and they weren't bought and sold,
As
either.
much. Right.
They weren't trying to. Yeah, they didn't need to stay out of prison and.
Right. It wasn't as self-effacing. It wasn't as much as helping their own personal causes. Okay, I want to talk about another issue. And for everybody who doesn't know, and if you don't know about the talented Crystal, shame on you, and then shame on you again. She is a medical professional. She is in the medical field, excuse me. I sometimes get so tongue-tied when I'm in the presence of her brilliance. And I want to talk about a story that came out this week as Donald Trump tries to make the United States the new imperial empire, going into Venezuela. We're going to go into Iran. We're going to go into Cuba. We're going to go into Greenland. He made a comment this week about going into Mexico because of the cartels and the scourge that is the drugs that they send to America. Now, he claimed it was 250 to 300,000 people a year die in America from drug overdoses and abuse. The number from his own CDC is approximately 75, and that's still a huge number. It's a number we shouldn't trifle with. But where I'm going with this is he wants to do land strikes, military intervention to stop the cartels from sending drugs to America. But, fun fact, in the big, beautiful bill, they cut $11.4 billion that the federal government has sent to assorted state agencies to help with rehabilitation and other services. And also, last January 20th, in the Doge thing, they cut $1 billion in mental health services and other associated services that help people with addiction. After that long windup, my question to you is, what do you think the state is of government services to help people with mental health afflictions, you being in the medical industry?
I'm sorry, that last part you said, what do you think
What do you think what have you seen as the state of government supported mental health services, rehabilitation services for the people in our society who most desperately need them?
it's extremely limited.
Have you seen it go down?
I can't say with,
So, Crystal, this isn't Final
yes.
Jeopardy. I am asking what your opinion is. what you've experienced. I am not.
Yeah, probably. I've never
this,
seen it. It's
look.
never been good.
Okay. Let's
I'm
go
going to
with
be
that.
honest. Okay, I will be honest. I probably
Don't be.
never.
This is a podcast. Don't worry about it. Go ahead. Yeah. Why should we be the first honest podcast? Go ahead. Please share.
Yeah, no, the whole healthcare system is broken. It's effed up. It's all about profit.
If you could change
And
one thing, what would you change?
in the healthcare system,
Yes.
well, I would the insurances would have to, pay for a lot more care, a lot longer stays, and as far as mental health continue to, you know, I mean, there's people who are discharged home. I know one that, personally, that they didn't even make sure she had anybody to care for her at home when she couldn't care for herself.
Correct.
So, yeah. It has to be a system that actually, I guess it would be a system that is not just for profit. It's actually there to help the people, and it's not.
Okay. So the motivation has to be truly to care for people's health, their well-being, instead of making sure United Healthcare can turn corporate profits to appease their shareholders.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, isn't that kind of what Bernie and AOC are, Medicare for all?
Absolutely.
So basically we can have a system where, and it's like I brought up many times on the podcast, the first 3 years of the Iraq war, we could have paid for health care for every American for 50 years. We never have money for the people in America. We always have money for the weapons of mass destruction. And isn't that what the Republicans say every time we have a mass shooting? Well, we need to get those mental health services. Of course, then they defund them even more.
We don't have money to make sure that kids eat properly and get a great education, have a great future, but we have plenty of money to throw them into the military and have them die for old rich men's causes.
Or we have a society where we have no problem throwing them into prison for marijuana. Right?
Right.
We have an administration, we have an eco structure where literally we have no problem incarcerating people for their entire lives instead of giving them a chance to find a new life. Habitual, criminalization.
The highest recidivism.
Yes, we do. We also have the highest incarceration rate of young males of any country in the world. That's not a dictatorship. I'm sure North Korea has a lot of people in prison. And then they say, well, if you don't come out and fight, we'll kill you. But literally of the industrialized countries, I think we have a thing of, I want to say, and this is off the top of my head, I want to say it's somewhere between 14 and 18% of young males under 40 have been in prison. I mean, it's a huge number. It's just a huge bloody number.
Wow. Yeah, I was watching this documentary.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No.
I was just watching a documentary about Norway and the prison system there, and how people say, it's too nice. Well, their recidivism rate is like the lowest, I think, of the world. And so maybe if you don't treat the people like animals, a lot of the people, you throw them in for doing minor offenses and they go to prison and it makes them even worse,
Absolutely.
And then they're traumatized and they can't get a good, job. They're traumatized. That's more likely for them to just, do drugs to escape the trauma and, hate the world and end up back in the system.
I'm going to tell you a story. I ran my dad's company he had a construction company, and I ran it for 10 years until I was exiled to the great state of Kentucky for a couple of years. And then somehow I found my way back. I felt like that guy in Shawshank. I made it through the tunnel to get back to California. But but as I was running the company, we would have to hire people. We didn't have a
Mhm.
pipeline. People would come, people would go. Construction, the nature of the beast. And I remember my dad telling me as I was hiring, he'd say,
Excuse me.
if somebody has a record, he says, give them a chance. He always pushed that.
Mhm.
And my dad never had a record or
Mhm.
whatever. And I will say that there was some really, really talented individuals that we gave a chance to. Now, the problem always becomes if we hired 20 people in a year and 10 of them had a criminal record, honestly, the rate of them succeeding, like literally for every 10 people we hired, maybe one would last a year. Okay. But
Mm.
I found whether it was a criminal background or a regular background, basically the rate of basic what's the term I'm looking for, of acceptance or making it to that 1 year plateau was the same. But the problem
Mhm.
is if somebody has a criminal record and they don't make it, they say, well, they're just a criminal. And then that
Mm.
perpetuates well, they're not really worthy
Mhm.
of a second chance type bullshit.
Mhm.
You
Good for
know,
your dad.
he was always good about that. He was always,
Mhm.
and I wish more people did that. I will tell you another interesting thing. After I left my dad, I went to go work in the union.
Mhm.
And we would work on schools. We would work at airports. We would work at government facilities. And I think it was called a PET scan. And basically, we would have to go into a police department once a year. And we would have to do an incredible background check. Now, I understand that we would go through Interpol, we'd go through the FBI, local databases. And if we got kicked back for any type of activity, conviction, things like that, we weren't allowed on the school site or the government facility or whatever it was because they were considered
Mm.
more sensitive. There was kids, there was other people, things like that.
Mhm.
And I always thought to myself, how limiting would that be if, let's just say, you had a DUI or you had
Mm.
some other type of, let's say you were a kid and you were stupid and you got caught stealing something. It was amazing to me
Mhm.
thinking that literally is going to be the scarlet letter and you're never going to be able to overcome that in the history of your life. Like,
Yeah.
how do you get to the point where I don't have to pay for the sin I did when I was 18? Like, I stole a car
Yeah.
or I stole a blower or I stole some type of tool and I took a criminal conviction,
Mhm.
and literally, I understand society has to have laws and it has to have rules. But if there is no society, if the society cannot forgive and forget and let people have a chance, an opportunity for a second opportunity, we are literally mired in a society where people will say, F it and let's go. Let's become gangsters because there is no other way.
Mhm. Yeah. Absolutely. And I believe most people who go to prison, I mean, are 25 and under. We've all
Correct.
done things when we're 25 and under that we can't believe that we ever did. And you change
Sure.
so much as a person. Your brain's not even developing. And
Right.
so, unless, I think that we actually need to be way stricter on people who can, commit any kind of violent or sexual crime,
Absolutely.
but, and be way more lenient on anything that is the exception,
Absolutely.
you know?
Couldn't agree. You and I are in total agreement because I do think that leniency in society is violence towards women. And I
Hmm.
do think that other things like if two guys rumble, that's considered, oh, that's just boys being boys. We'll let them go.
Hmm.
That kind of thing. I do think that society, because of their misogyny, because of their white elitism, they do, and probably that's not really a good segue way where I'm going. That violence, whether it be rape, whether it be trafficking, whether I mean, really, when's the last time we saw somebody convicted for trafficking? I mean,
Yeah.
really? Well, I mean, okay, I don't know if you've ever heard of this place, but it's called In-N-Out. It's a franchise on the West Coast, right? And
Oh,
yeah, I know. And you
no,
go in
sounds
there.
great though.
Yeah, I know. Don't worry about it. One day I'll send you a gift certificate. And they literally are pushing stop trafficking. It's a horrible crime. And look, I applaud them. They are a conservative based organization. They are very successful. They do a lot of really good things. But I always think to myself, I follow the news cycle. I follow it
Mm-hmm.
very fastidiously. I cannot tell you the last time I saw somebody get convicted for trafficking. Have you even heard
Mm-hmm.
of it? Have you even heard of it? No.
I have, but yeah,
Okay.
not often.
Okay. It's rare. I even Sean Combs, his convictions weren't for trafficking, they were transporting women for prostitution. Now, I know that
Oh.
sounds like a little minor difference, but where's all the traffickers? Look, the most prolific sex trafficker of all time basically got a get out of jail free card in 2009 in Miami, and his name was Jeffrey Epstein. And
Mm-hmm.
the hundreds and thousands of girls who were trafficked, where's the guys? It's so bad that literally Prince Andrew lost his title. The ambassador at the UK lost his job, but nobody in America seems to get prosecuted. Nobody seems to get any type of repercussions for what goes on.
Yeah. Horrible. Great
There you
point.
go.
It's a man's
There you
world
go.
still. It's
And
like that Brandy Carlisle line. Do you know who that is?
Brandy Carlisle, I'm thinking of Belinda Carlisle, but let's go with Brandy Carlisle. Who's that?
She's a singer-songwriter and her voice is just
Oh, you're
it
talking,
makes you want to cry.
girl. Are we talking about Belinda Carlisle from the Go-Go's?
No,
My
I
lips
love
are
her
sealed?
too, but this is Brandy
Okay.
Carlisle.
All right, I stand corrected.
She's more like current,
Okay,
but
yeah.
she sings this song. I think it's called The Joker. And she said, girl, it's your brother's world, at least for a while still. And
Right.
like those songs are so like prophetic. I don't know. It almost makes me want to cry because it's so true, especially growing up like in the 80s and 90s where like my brothers could do no wrong and I had
Right.
so much more like responsibility and, everything was my fault because I'm a girl. And anyways, but it's so true. Like
There's
I'm
a
glad
different
that
standard.
there's
There's a
men like you
different
that get it.
standard. There's a different standard,
Oh
right?
yeah.
Right? And
Oh gosh,
and
yeah.
then I mean, and this is why I'm so glad you took the time to be on this podcast, is women see what happened to Renee Good and that there is no
Mm-hmm.
repercussions. I mean, how does that not ripple through?
Yeah. Yeah, great point.
All
And
right.
it does. It shows us that it's still our brother's world for a while. And a while could mean a few hundred years in America.
It absolutely could, especially it seems like every year, especially under the Trump administration, we're going backwards. Right?
We
Like
are.
it doesn't
Yeah,
seem
we
like
weren't
we're going
even
forward in women's rights.
we haven't even finished coming forward and they want to take us back.
We
Exactly.
think about this, and you're not going to understand what I'm going to tell you. I believe it was 1975, America
Mm-hmm.
passed the Equal Rights Amendment, which basically said women are afforded all the same rights and protections that men are allowed. It still has not been ratified. It has not been ratified in Congress and the Senate and the president signed. It's still 50 goddamn years later, hasn't been ratified. What does that tell you about the misogyny and the prejudice that goes on in this country?
Unbelievable. And all these other countries that we like to pretend that they're not as advanced as us. They've had women leaders for now like 50 years and back.
Yes.
before that,
Absolutely.
like, it's crazy.
Absolutely. And we've
Mm-hmm.
had great women leaders. Golda Meir,
Mm-hmm.
Margaret Thatcher. I'm not going to say they were great, but they were women leaders, right? Angela Merkel over in Germany.
Mm-hmm.
I think there is no world leader I respect more than her. But I mean, if you
Mm-hmm.
don't give women the opportunity, you can't understand the great things they bring to the plate. You cannot access
Mm-hmm.
their skill set because they have skill sets that men will never have.
They've done studies that show that the more educated women are in a society and the more access they have to their own family planning, the more successful the whole society is.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And make no mistake, that is exactly why the Republicans do not institute any type of child care because they want to keep women in the home. They do not want them
Mm-hmm.
to advance in society.
Oh,
It's
I've known
another
many
lever.
friends that would say, the reason why usually the wife does not, if she's not working, it's because with childcare, it would be more expensive for her to go to
Exactly.
work than to
Exactly.
stay at home with the kids.
That's how they keep her in there because you know what? This society has formulated a thing where if somebody's got to stay home, it's got to be the woman. That
Yeah.
nonsense, that whole prejudice, misogyny bullshit. All right.
Well, yeah,
All
and
right.
men are paid so much more on purpose.
Sure. That's how you make sure
I
that
mean,
the person who gives up their career is the woman. Absolutely.
I still don't make what my ex did like 20 years ago when he
Is that
first started out
insane?
doing what he did.
That is
Yeah, and
insane.
even though I've been at my profession for almost 20 years, I
Right?
don't make what he made starting off the bat.
God, how
And I
insane
couldn't
is
have done
that?
what I know. And I couldn't have done what he did. I won't go into it, but like the field and what he did, a woman, especially back in the day, I never could have like survived that.
No, hold on, hold on,
That's an
hold on, hold
advantage
on,
that
whoa,
men
whoa, whoa, whoa,
have.
whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa, hold on a second there, Turbo. Let's deal with the initial point. After 20 goddamn years, you're not making what he's made when he entered the goddamn market. Nobody had an understanding of what his skill set was, his competence, his talent. But yet they started him at a higher salary than you after proving yourself for 20 years are still not making.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line right there. You are deflecting because you're being nice. You're giving society a pass. I am not. This is scorched earth. Fuck that. That is insane
Yeah.
what you just told me there.
I
We
know,
don't know
right?
him. He's a guy off the street. We're going to start him at a higher salary than this other lady who's worked here for 20 years is going to make at the end of 20 years. How
Yeah.
insane is that?
That's sad. And I have more education, actually.
And you're not accounting for inflation.
Yeah. I know, exactly. Inflation, right? It's a heck of a lot. More expensive to live
I know
now.
Donald Trump got
Yeah.
rid of it, but come on. You know, really, it's still a thing.
Yeah.
All right. I
Because you know what they
appreciate.
want? Like, even,
Go ahead.
sorry.
No, go. Go. I
You know
want to
what they
hear it.
want? Even my brother Alex P. Keaton, who's seen the light, he even said, you know what? With women, there's a lot of men that are basically, he said, not in these words, but the point he was making was a lot of men right now who are single wouldn't be if women couldn't make their own income. And that's what they want. You know what I mean? Like they want a
Absolutely.
woman to have to be with a man,
Absolutely.
which is not, a good thing when it might not be a good man.
Look, it's called economic coercion, right? I mean, that's really what it
Mm-hmm.
is. People doing things because of monetary issues. I mean, look at how many people, and I went through this. There was a part of my life where I lost a house. I had to go bankrupt, and I had to get a paralegal and a lawyer to help me through the legal process. And when I was talking to the paralegal, she, matter of fact, told me about how many people could not economically get divorced because they couldn't survive.
Mm-hmm.
That's a
Yeah.
real thing.
Yeah.
That's a real
Yep.
thing.
Very sad.
It is.
So imagine how high the divorce rate would be if people could afford to get divorced.
Yeah, but we'd probably be a lot happier. we'd be like Norway. We'd all have smiles on our face. We'd get out of jail and be like, "Yay! Hallelujah! Hallelujah!" All right. Wonderful as usual. I appreciate it. Hey, everybody out there, if you could go ahead and drop it in the comments about how smart Crystal is and how stupid I am. That's okay. I'm used to those things. I appreciate them. If you can, hit that like and subscribe button, and hopefully we can persuade Crystal to come back next week and give her unique and wonderful insight into the issues that face us. And we will see you soon on the Scorched Earth Political Podcast.